The Dallas-Fort Worth community always says yes to supporting elementary students, and now that yes can win you a brand new 2022 truck. DFW Yes provides school supplies to more than 78,000 students across Texas. Give your yes today by purchasing raffle tickets in our Drive Away for Education truck raffle sponsored by Thomas J. Henry. The grand prize winner will choose from a new Ram, Chevrolet, GMC, Ford, or Nissan truck. Plus, you could win a shopping spree or gas card. Purchase your raffle ticket today at dfwyes.org.
So we'll get right into that. And, of course, we've been off air since before state championships, so we got some news. North Texas, of course, made a hire. There's been a bunch of transfer stuff going on. A signing day happened, all that stuff. We're not going to get to all of it, but we're going to try to really overarch and just try to get a big net before we get into TCU, Georgia, in the national championship game. So let's go with the news that just dropped today. Or I guess reported news, right? It's not official yet. They haven't announced it, but everybody's reporting the same thing. Texas A&M is making a offensive coordinator hire. That's what was reported after the season ended, was that Jimbo was going to be given play calling duties to this new coordinator. It was kind of a see it before you believe it type of thing in many ways. And one name that surfaced early that people were like, no, it can't be, right? Bobby Petrino. We thought he was out of the running when he took the job at UNLV to be the offensive coordinator. And nope. Turns out he's just taking a detour right away, right back to College Station. UNLV finalized that deal. He was announced. He was officially hired by them. And news reported today by ESPN first that, he's coming to College Station. So
with the way that they negotiate contracts, he probably got $1 billion. Like, hey, if I go hang out in Vegas for a couple of weeks, there's no telling what I can get out of A&M.
Right. Can I get a fully guaranteed contract too?
$100 million fully guaranteed. OC.
So now
there's going to be a fight on the sidelines.
Oh my God, seriously. So
it's just wild.
Let's talk about
those are some personalities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
to
it.
say it lightly, that's a good way to put it.
Bobby Petrino working under Jimbo Fisher.
Oh man, could be great, could be awful.
Right.
Either way is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, yes. First, let's go on the field, right? Let's get the obvious out of the way. Bobby Petrino knows football, right?
Mm-hmm. I would say one of the top 5 offensive minds of the last 20 years.
Right. 100%. There's a reason why Lamar Jackson fits so well at Louisville.
Yep.
There's a reason why Arkansas was really good before he had to – we'll get to why he had to leave. But before he had to leave, and why Arkansas just now is kind of coming back up to that. Before that, Louisville again, right? Was Louisville?
Yep,
Right?
Louisville.
First stop was Louisville. The Brahms, of course, those offenses under those guys, they were like a sleeper national title contender every year, it seemed like, before they lost like one game in the Big East and kind of knocked them out. But there's a reason why he got the Falcons job at one point, right? So if that all works out, sure, Jimbo Fisher potentially hired a pretty good play caller. Now let's talk about the other stuff.
Yeah, there's some other stuff.
Why was he at Missouri State the past couple of years, Mike Craven?
Yeah, so, for people who don't know, 2012, he was fired from Arkansas. He was in a motorcycle crash. He had a female staffer with him. It came out later that he had lied about the relationship he had with that female staffer while being married. I think Bobby Petrino is known around the industry as an excellent offensive mind, an incredible head coach, and also somebody who doesn't exit places very well.
Right.
And so he did that with Atlanta, where he kind of left in the middle of the year, left without with a couple games left when they were still in playoff contention. Some of that was the Mike Vick stuff and the legal troubles.
He went there to coach Mike Vick. Mike Vick wasn't there.
Right. And so I think he's just I don't think Bobby's known as a bad guy.
Right.
He's just known as a character, as somebody who's going to do his own thing, kind of flies by his own set of rules. And it's going to be interesting, with another headstrong, stubborn head coach that's an offensive play caller who made his bones kind of the same way. How do they interact? How well do they do, especially after the first couple 3-and-outs?
Sure.
I think on the football field it was obvious that A&M had to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that offense last year, was really, really bad. You look at some of the numbers, and they're in the 90s to the hundreds in pretty much everything. 6.3 yards per passing attempt was 110th in the FBS. Their third down conversion percentage was 103rd. They're 96th in yards per game. Mm-hmm. Their 22 points a game were 97th in the nation. So they had to do something offensively. I believe in Bobby Petrino's ability to score points. He was scoring points at Southwestern Missouri State, against really good football teams, right?
Sure.
And so they're going to score some points. He's got a lot of talent to work with there, especially if they can fix the offensive line. But you add DJ Durkin, you add Bobby Petrino. And it's just an interesting coaching staff. I don't know how else to say it. It's just Jimbo's definitely coaching for his life next year.
Yes.
Like, it's win or go home. I mean, you're
It's
going home
always
with a
the
lot
same
of money,
with
but you're
hires,
still winning or going home, and there's pride on the line. I think he's hiring guys who he thinks are the best guys, regardless of how anybody feels about it. And frankly, the A&M market and the A&M media market is one where you can exist in that kind of bubble. And so it's a place where you can be insular and do whatever you want and kind of shut the doors on any of that outside noise. And so we'll see if it's a gamble that pays off, but they're going to be in the news cycle. People are going to talk about this for the next week or so. And then when things don't – my biggest thing is, like, what happens September 24th when you're playing – against Ole Miss, and you go 3 and out a couple times, or you're losing 17-3.
Right.
Is Jimbo going to try and rip that back?
Right.
You know,
well, he Gary Patterson this thing.
Right.
And so Bobby Petrino is not a guy that you're going to do that to.
Right.
You know, Daryl Dickey's more in line with the guy that you're going to do that to. Right. Like, and so Bobby Petrino's got enough skins on the wall where he's going to look back at that guy and be like, I'm a better offensive play caller than you are.
I was going to say, Craven, I'm going to pull a you real quick and say, you know how they say you're not supposed to date somebody who's like, if you're very strong-headed, you're not going to date somebody who's very strong-headed, right? Because you're just going to do this, and you're going to last like a month. You know, you're supposed to date somebody who is, if you're strong-headed, you're supposed to be soft-headed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Well,
how is that going to work?
Balance
Like,
it out.
just right, exactly.
I think it's going to work really well as long as they score points.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be those games or those moments, those drives where, as a head coach, you're used to having all that responsibility on you.
Right.
And now you got to look down at Bobby to see if he's calling plays and like what he like, you know. And so I think that's going to be hard. You know, like when they're blowing out Sam Houston, everybody's going to be happy.
Right.
When they're in a 10-7 game against Alabama and it's tight, I think Jimbo's just one of those people that likes the control.
Sure.
And he's going to have to hand that over for the first time in his whole career.
I think the other thing with this is, say what you want about him for a full season, but like when Jimbo goes up against a Saban, right? That's where Jimbo's at his best, right? That's where he's able to see at what, if, like you mentioned, if obviously Jimbo's going to be in charge of the game plan, right, overall. But like if the rhythm isn't going right against Alabama and Jimbo's like, no, this is what we did last year, and it was able to trip them up a couple is that going to be kind of the power struggle that goes on? Because like you mentioned, these are two headstrong head coaches, two personalities that don't rub people the right way, right? We obviously know that about Jimbo, and that's been the case everywhere with Bobby Petrino. So, and I guess the other thing along the DJ Durkin lines is you're A&M. You could have hired anybody. Yeah. Like that's kind of the most frustrating thing. If I'm an Aggie fan, and I'm seeing a lot of mixed reviews on this, right? A lot of them are like, "This is the guy," just because you could have gotten anybody.
Yeah.
Right. The first name that surfaced was Garrett Riley. Right, that was like, ooh, hey, hello, and then it was like
that was an A&M's choice.
Right. It was,
Right.
but still,
Right.
it was more like, oh, that's what they're going for.
Right,
Those
sure.
type of guys. And now it's like, all right.
And the reason they don't get those type of guys is because of Jimbo's reputation.
Right. They didn't believe that they would actually.
And I think Petrino has enough experience and skins on the wall where he's like, well, he's going to let me. I've been a head coach for 14 years. I've done this thing before. We can work together. I think Petrino sees it as a collaborative relationship that he can make work because he's older and has the experience and probably more respect from Jimbo.
Sure.
Than a 33-year-old who still hasn't been a head coach before or whatever. So we'll see how it works. But again, I mean, if this thing goes 10-2, it's going to work real well.
Right.
If this thing's 3-3 after the first 6 weeks, I mean, who knows?
Yeah. All right. So as I mentioned before, we've been off air for a while, so there's been some news that we got to catch you up on. Or I guess not catch you up on. You probably know about it, but we'll talk about it. North Texas made a hire, of course. Eric Morris, former OC at Washington State, of course, most notably, former head coach at Incarnate Word, have helped build them up from kind of a doormat in the Southland to what G.J. Kinney was able to help produce with them last year. So let's Craven, let's go a little bit behind the scenes here because we did not have him on our radar. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Nobody that was reporting this had him on the radar initially. When it came to this whole head coaching search, we thought at one point Zach Barnett at Football Scoop said they were zeroing in on Kenny Perry. About an hour later, he was like, actually, nope, never mind. And it looked like it was a choice between, for a while, Kenny Perry and Justin Fuente. Justin Fuente had a relationship with Ren Baker, the former AD, who was, I don't know how involved he was with the search, but I knew he was like a advisor, maybe consultant, whatever, to Jared Mosley. Ultimately, Jared Mosley bucks his predecessor and goes with Eric Morris. I think it was a really good hire. He's made a couple of key hires, in my opinion. 2 former high school head coaches in Chris Gilbert, formerly of Lancaster, and last year was at Texas, and Drew Sabota from Klein Collins, and formerly he was at Alabama last year. So 2 former head coaches in the DFW and Houston area, and it's clear that he's trying to wrangle that relationship back, because while Seth Luttrell was able to get talent, that was kind of one of the main criticisms, was that he wasn't necessarily as ingrained in the recruiting scene, especially in Dallas. He's a native Oklahoma guy, and so he kept
kind of where you
he got some guys from Oklahoma, right? Mason Fine was from Oklahoma, things like that. So I think a lot of the THSCA crowd and all that would have liked him to be more ingrained around the local scene. Eric Morris is making an effort to do that. So what were your overall thoughts? You went to the press conference as well, Craven?
Yeah, I mean, from what I know, sources close to Justin Fuente have told me that he turned down that job. That he was kind of the first choice on the roster there. He turned it down and then kind of helped them identify some guys that maybe they could go get to. And I think the final 2 were Garrett Riley, Eric Morris. Garrett Riley turned down a $2 million a year contract at Texas A&M to be their OC. Eric Morris is making less than $2 million a year, so we can probably put that math together.
Sure.
But I think Eric Morris was a great hire for North Texas. He has those Texas roots that they were looking for. He's from that Mike Leach tree, the air raid tree that's all the rage right now. Sonny Dykes at TCU is doing the exact same thing with Garrett Riley, right? That same similar type of offense. He's been a head coach before with success,
right,
and he's done more with less. At Incarnate Word, that was a nothing job. That was a basement job,
great,
right? And he turned them into a 10-win, team in 2021 that goes into San Marcos with Cam Ward and beats Texas State there in week 2 last year, and then leads a really good offense at Washington State this year. So he has the chops, he has the pedigree. Sure, he's never been a head coach at the FBS level, but I think he's going to walk into North Texas and see everything that they have at their disposal in terms of facilities and budget and all that stuff, and be like, wow, man, we got a lot to do here. You're close to DFW, and then you hinted on it. I think adding Chris Gilbert to that staff was genius. Was a very smart way to kind of set your roots down in DFW. And I've had this conversation with Gabe Brooks before. You're recruiting DFW against 2 other private schools.
Sure.
North Texas should be the People's Republic of DFW, right? Like, it should be the People's University where you can go and get in. But they don't go to South Dallas as much as they should.
Right.
And I think that changes with guys like Chris Gilbert. They're going to go recruit places that don't see TCU, that don't see SMU, that don't see North Texas as much as historically that they should. I know Sonny Dykes changed that at SMU and
sure,
at TCU and all that kind of stuff, but historically, SMU wasn't at South Oak Cliff all that often.
Right.
TCU wasn't at South Oak Cliff all that often. I don't think North Texas was as much as they should. I think they're going to get to those schools, and that's going to be a good thing for North Texas. I think the talent level starts to rise. But it needs to, because they're moving to the Americans.
Yep.
I think he's already done a good job on the recruiting front. There's been a couple of times I've seen on Twitter guys committing from Denton Geyer or Denton Ryan or something like that, and that says a lot that he's able to keep these guys literally at home in Denton. So I think he's already done a good job, off to a good start for the 2023 season.
Yep. And, of course, them along with Texas State will be hitting this next signing day pretty hard because they got a roster to fill out. So portal, they'll probably see some quarterbacks signed. They'll probably see some receivers, things like that.
Because Austin Ane's off to the NFL.
I was about to say, Austin Ane took his name out of the portal and then declared for the NFL draft, I believe, on his Instagram. So, they got to find a quarterback.
Good
so
for
we'll
him.
see.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so last thing I do want to play in this catch-up, I'm a fan of TNT and Inside the NBA.
And games.
And every year, they always run the who he play for, right? Because Charles Barkley doesn't actually pay attention to the league, so he doesn't know who anybody plays for.
He does it more for himself.
Right. So, we've had a lot happen in the transfer portal. So I'm going to play with you guys a little who he play for now.
Okay.
All right.
And this is who he's playing for now.
Who he's playing for now.
Okay.
Not
Right.
before.
All right.
So, first one, you can play along at home, too, if you want. Former Texas A&M running back, L.J. Johnson. Where is the former 5-star running back now? Either or.
I don't know.
SMU.
SMU, you are correct. Mike Craven. They are loading up on
Yeah,
former-
5-star Kamar Wheaton
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
cycle. If he can get healthy, he's got some talent. 4-star LJ Johnson, who I thought was one of the best running backs in the state when he was coming out
Yep.
a couple years ago. So trying to build that run game.
Yeah.
Preston Stone. They
Yeah.
would lose Rasheed Rice. So, yeah, that was a great pickup.
This is going to be great. Okay.
On Christmas Day.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was
Yeah.
actually a nice little gift for them. So, former Baylor quarterback Kyron Drones. Who he play for now? Anybody know?
Is it in the state?
It is not in the state. I will give you that.
Did he go? Was he one of the Arizona? Did he go out to
He
Arizona?
did not go to Arizona.
Okay. No.
East Coast.
Yeah, I can't. No, I can't. I don't think. It would Wake Forest or something?
No, he is at Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Kyron Drones, former Shadow Creek product.
Man, I was
out
having that
there now.
conversation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Man.
We got two more. Let's go. Former Alabama wide receiver JoJo Earl.
Oh man, I knew this
Who he
one.
play for? He is back home.
TC. Yeah.
He is back home.
That's
at
right.
TCU.
I did see that.
Fort Worth gets a prodigal son
Yeah.
returning.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
a big pickup for
You know,
them.
I think that's been a Sonny Dykes thing his whole career. You know, even back to like Nick
Bonus
Foles at
points.
Arizona.
Who also did he bring home?
Tommy Brockmeyer.
Tommy Brockermeyer.
Yep.
Also from
I
Alabama.
think
Yep.
they're going to clean up.
Yeah.
Like they did at SMU, but at
Sure.
a steroid type
I
level.
was about to say, yeah.
Not just because you're P5, but you go to national championship year one, right? Like people are going to come play for you.
Yep.
I think they're going to clean up with the portal and former DFW guys.
Yep, I agree. All right, I got one more. I'll throw one more at the end, but this one was the one I had written down. Former Texas A&M quarterback Haynes King. Where's he at now?
Where is it? I did see this. I just don't remember.
I didn't.
I did
This news
see-
hit me like 5 days after it happened.
It's a G5 school, isn't it?
No, it's a Power 5 school.
It's powerful. Okay.
It's a Power 5 school, theoretically.
Theoretically. What
Craven.
conference?
I forgot.
What conference is it?
ACC.
ACC.
Yeah, it's very forgettable. I
Yeah.
literally did not know this until I looked it up because I was curious about who was
Oh,
recruiting him.
I can see his post too because I did see it on my timeline. I just don't remember.
Georgia Tech.
Okay, that's probably why I don't remember. 'cause
Exactly.
it's
You know why I always forget about Georgia Tech?
Why?
Because I just think of it as an option team still.
Right. You think of it as Paul Johnson.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, Paul Johnson's
What
two head coaches ago now.
what this game is going to reveal
Yeah.
is if they went to a Texas school
Oh,
on
you would
it.
know this. Right.
Right.
100%.
I am so Texas centric because of this job.
Right.
100%.
I pay
Which is-
attention to nothing.
Which is
outside
why
of
I
the
was
state.
mad that he went to Georgia Tech.
Right.
Like
Right.
Hudson Card went to Purdue.
Well,
I mean, have fun.
Frank Harris made
Graham
some
Harrell's
red.
going to be
Yeah.
there. Graham Harrell's going to be there with Hudson Card. So have fun at Purdue, but I'm very mad.
I would have gotten that one.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Denver Harris. Transfer from A&M.
Oh yeah, LSU.
LSU.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
LSU.
Yeah.
He's
So,
going to go be a top 10 draft pick.
I was about to
Oh,
say,
yeah.
he's going to go and kick some butt over there. So
He's a monster.
a little bit. There's some portal news. We still got a bunch still going. Some dudes that have not committed.
we should play this
anywhere
like
yet.
once a week if like more news
we
comes.
might
It's kind of
have
fun.
to. Yeah, we
You
still
learn
got
something
guys
every
like
day.
Devin Sears from Texas State's getting Power 5 looks right now. Jake Roberts from North Texas getting Power 5 looks
Oh,
right
yeah,
now. We got some
yeah.
guys that are going to be playing
Ton
some
of 'em.
places. So